Well, my name is Jim DeMasi, and before cancer, I'd say that my life was pretty normal for someone that was, 24 or younger, say 21 to 24. Just a lot of time spent with my friends. Obviously, I just finished school and was really starting my career. Um, Actually, I guess I was still at Rutgers at that point, wasn't I? Yeah. So what do you want to know?
Um, I guess, okay, so then how was your life affected when you, realized you had cancer?
Okay, well, it's kind of a long story, and I'll start at the beginning, but kind of just glaze over a few things. Um, when you're really young, then you don't expect to ever have to face something like this. Um, you have the sense that you're going to live forever, basically, because, well, you've only been on Earth for, 23 years. You still have maybe triple that length to go, and that's 2 more lifetimes ahead of you. So it does seem like forever.
How old were you when you had cancer?
24. I was diagnosed not October, August 2008. My dad passed away October 2008 from the same exact type of cancer. And
What was his story? How did he find out he had cancer?
well, that's a good question because he had probably gone undiagnosed for at least a year. He just had a lot of pains in his back, and they said, well, you're getting older type of thing. Just give him some cortisone shots and that should work. But the last few months before he was officially diagnosed, then you could really see just in his face and demeanor that he was really rapidly diminishing. And I was living in Chicago at the time, and I came home to visit, and I could tell that he was in really bad shape when I saw him. Like, I hate to say it, but he looked like death when I saw him. And so then when I got back to Chicago, then I got the call about the cancer diagnosis. Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't normally talk about this stuff.
What are we talking about?
We'll get back to that.
Mm-hmm. So, how about you? When you, were diagnosed and everything, how did you feel?
Um, if it weren't for my shoulder, then I wouldn't have known that anything was wrong with me at all. But I play tennis a lot, and so a shoulder injury isn't that uncommon. I wouldn't really think much of it, except that when it got so bad to the point that I couldn't even turn the steering wheel in my car, then I started thinking maybe I had torn a rotator cuff or something very bad, obviously. So I went to the doctor maybe a few days later, and at that point it was not so much in my shoulder, but just kind of like across here. And so I really didn't know what that meant, if it was something in my chest or my shoulder. I didn't know. And the doctor had said that he thought it was some sort of inflammation on my lung, and that if it didn't clear up in a few days, then to go get an x-ray. But I could tell, just having had that pain for a few weeks, that something wasn't right. So I just went straight to the ER and got an x-ray that night. They came back and said, we need to do a CAT scan. It looks like some sort of weird pneumonia. And For some reason, though, when they were wheeling me back for the CAT scan, then I just had that feeling that it was cancer because my dad had already had it. I don't really know, I mean, aside from that, why I would have thought that. But all I really thought was that if it is cancer, then I just feel so bad for my mom right now.
And you were doing it for your dad too.
Yeah. And that's what's kind of crazy about my diagnosis, is that I was the stem cell donor for my dad. He had to get a stem cell transplant, which basically they do nowadays instead of a bone marrow transplant. So actually, do you mind if I just start from the beginning and then go through it chronologically?
Yeah, whenever.
Because I feel like I'll cover this. Okay, so I really feel like this story starts in 2005. That's really kind of where my adult life began, I guess you could say. I was in my senior year at Rutgers.
And how old were you then?
I had just turned 21. And I was going to Australia to study abroad for the semester. I think I turned... Oh, right. I turned 21, and then left maybe the next week. Anyway, so in Australia, by far the best 5 months of my life. It was the first time I had ever lived on my own, really gone out on my own. Anybody that had known me up to that point would probably never have guessed that I would even do something like that because, I've just stayed in New Jersey my entire life. But, so that was kind of like the beginning of everything, and while I was out there, then I met a girl out there that was also studying abroad. She went to Northwestern, and we kind of started dating out in Australia and then continued it when we got home, long distance for like a year till we graduated. And then after we graduated, then I ended up proposing to her in December 2006, and then immediately moved out to Chicago after that to be with her, and got my first job out there, my first full-time job.
And what was that?
Oh, I was a investment consultant for a company called Ennis Knupp, which nobody outside the industry has heard of. But it was a really good job, definitely one that somebody fresh out of college would is highly desirable. And I think it held a lot of prestige in the city because everybody in the city were very familiar with the company. And so it was right around the time that I got that job that I had gotten the call from home to tell me that my dad had been diagnosed with cancer. And when I got that call...
Who called you?
My dad called me. And he told me. And I was just like crying so much on the phone that I couldn't say anything at all. But they told me that he was going to do okay, that he was going to start radiation and this and that I had no reason to really worry about it. So I stayed in Chicago and worked. I later found out way after the fact that they were basically just lying to me, and that the doctor had really said that he had 2 weeks. But I guess they just didn't want me to worry, so I suppose they were just trying to look out for me.